Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Late Winner Show. As you can see from our background, it's going to be an Everton podcast today. And to discuss all things about Everton, I have Mike from the Ultimate Holy Trinity podcast. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
We will talk about all the struggles that Everton are in right now and what next for them. And I'll ask, we'll ask Mike how the season has been actually for the Everton fans. But before we do proceed, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Late Winner Show. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter as well, and give Mike a follow as well on Twitter and his listen to his audio podcast as well. I think they do a really good job on covering all aspects of Everton. But Mike, do you mind just introducing a little bit about yourself and your podcast as well?
Yeah, so we've been doing a podcast for nearly 3 years now, so it's been quite a while. Like you said, it's an audio podcast available across all the major platforms: Spotify, Google, Apple Store, and many more. So we record generally weekly and go through obviously the previous game, any kind of upcoming fixture, and then also any the major talking points come out of the club as well. So as I say, mainly weekly. Sometimes it's more, sometimes less. Obviously, at the moment with all our games being called off, or the last 3 games being called off anyway.
Yeah, that's great. Let's just dive into all the stuff about Everton. What do you think has how has this season been for you so far? Like Everton are languishing in 15th position. I really don't think they would be in a relegation battle come the end of the season, right? But it's looking very likely as it's going right now.
I mean, you'd hope not. We started the season pretty well, and we had to, with obviously the manager who came in. Obviously, the club he previously managed many years ago and was successful at. So he came in with a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and we started the season well. And as I say, it was important that we did, but then we've gone through a really tough period of games. Obviously, we've had major injuries to major and key players. 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏 𝗕𝗏𝗪 only just about to come back for our next game against Brighton after last playing in the back end of August against Brighton. So it's been a long time. He's been out for. Richarlison's had issues, injuries. Obviously, the Lucas Digne situation now. The Corey's had injuries. Alan's had injuries. So, Єріміня, we've had major issues on that side of things. However, we've still lost games that we should not be losing, even with a few key players out. Watford at home 5-2 was unforgivable. That's the one which probably sticks out the most. Even going to Brentford and getting beat, not good enough. Luckily, we might have turned the corner. We had a morale to draw away at Stamford Bridge a few weeks ago with a decimated squad. A few kids were playing on that particular day. So hopefully we can take that into the Brighton game after our last 3 games have been called off. But you would hope that it's not going to be a season where we're fighting relegation. We've got games in hand now, which obviously we've got to make sure we get points from. We should have enough to stay away from those bottom 3 places. But you never know with football. You just never ever know. Once you get into a rut, sometimes it's hard to get out.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not all been wrong for Everton. I mean, you look at the start of the season, I think they were really good. And something after the Man United game, something changed. Sorry about that. But something changed from there. And even drawing against Everton and Chelsea, United and Chelsea, and then defeating Arsenal. So it's not all been wrong, but during that, what you said, just a span of like almost 6 to 7 games where everything seemed to go incorrectly for you guys. And then talking about a little bit about the manager as well. Do you think like Rafa Benitez is the right person to be at the helm, or you guys have already turned on him and he should probably go and he should probably leave the club? So I really feel that he brings certain sense of something to the club where that he's going to be putting up he'll have a defensive structure, and you'll see that in the game when he actually gets it right. You will see that. But right now, as you mentioned, there's been so many injuries. is it right to part ways with Rafa Benitez right now, or do you think it's still there? Like, there can be some kind of success with Rafa Benitez when, if you look back, if you look back, after 3 or 4 years.
I think the issue that we've got is we've made too many managerial changes over the last sort of 5 or 6 years or so, and we've gone backwards in a sense. That's both from a managerial point of view and also the recruitment side of things. We haven't really performed to a plan on and off the field. Whether he's the right man, obviously when he came in, he certainly wasn't at the top of probably 95% of any Everton fans' list. I think he's under pressure. I certainly do. He's luckily, obviously, we got a decent win against Arsenal, but then obviously we lose our next game, then we get a draw. So we just can't seem to get a run of wins going just yet. So that he's under pressure because of what's gone before. The Merseyside derby was another disaster that we saw. West Ham at home, West Ham are doing well, but one of those games which could have gone either way, maybe should have been a 0-0 draw. Just dropping silly points has not helped him, and he's shown a stubbornness as well in terms of how he approaches games, where when we lost 𝗕𝗲𝗪𝗏, he should have really gone 3 in midfield, and it took him quite a bit to get to that point to actually say, oh yeah, I'll now change it. He's fallen out with 𝗬𝗏𝗏. 𝗬𝗏𝗏's going to be on his way. One of our best players who is now being frozen out, so that doesn't sit well with a lot of Everton fans also. So whether he's the right man for the job remains to be seen. I don't think it'll help us if we just keep on firing managers again and again and again. I'm concerned though that maybe, in terms of taking us forward, whether he would be the right man to do so, I just don't know. The club wants stability before we move to our new ground at Bramley-Moore. And the owner seems to think that this manager is the one to take us there. Now, I think the expectation of the board is that we sort of float around mid-table for 3 years, and then we can then kick on when we get to Bramley-Moore. We've got more commercial opportunity, bigger ground, more tickets, hospitality, all those, more money coming into the club. I don't know. It's a dangerous game. It's a dangerous tactic, but whether he's the right man, I just don't know. The most important thing is that he's got to make sure that we stay in the Premier League this season, and that is on him. He's been cut slack because of the fact that he had no money to spend in the summer transfer window because of what has gone before. So fans are accepting of that. Like I said earlier on, we've had injuries to major players. Fans cut him slack for that. But there's only so much slack that you can cut a manager when he seems to be making personal mistakes from a tactical point of view and also behind the scenes when it comes to key players. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to be getting the sack anytime soon. I think, personally think that we will turn things around. And the club probably can't even afford to sack him, even if they wanted to, because if we do pay a manager off, that goes towards the profit and sustainability rules within the Premier League, and that's another red mark against the club and could tip us over the edge and potentially lead to some kind of penalty towards the club. So I don't think it's on the cards just yet, but I do think he's certainly under pressure and has got to turn things around.
Yeah, you mentioned about key players getting injured, but who do you feel has been the best player up until now for Everton?
Difficult really. I'd probably say 𝗕𝗲𝗪𝗏 is the one who stood out. 𝗕𝗲𝗪𝗏 came in, £1.7 million. We knew what he was all about. We'd seen him in the Premier League for Leicester. We were linked with him in the past before he moved to Leicester when he was at Birmingham. So we knew what we were getting. We just weren't sure how consistent he could actually be. But I think he scored 5 goals, 2 assists. Had a couple of little niggly issues himself. I think he was struck down with COVID just before the Chelsea game. So that's obviously missed that game. But he's a real key player for us. His pace alone gives us that different dimension on the counter attack, and he's certainly made a difference to us in that sense. Andros Townsend early season was standing out as well. But no, probably say 𝗕𝗲𝗪𝗏 has probably been our our best player. 𝗕𝗃𝗧𝗘 pre-injury was definitely up there as well, of course. But he's come back. He's just taken a little bit of time to get back into things. But 𝗕𝗃𝗧𝗘, you know, if he gets back to the form that he was showing in the early part of the season, he'll be up there for player of the season as well.
Yeah, I mean, 𝗕𝗃𝗧𝗘, Gray, Townsend, Richarlison, and Calvert-Lewin. If all of them can combine together, I think it's a really good attack, and they can definitely, you know, trouble teams. And we already saw that, as I was mentioning, you know, in the start of the episode, that you guys started really, really well. And it was all because you didn't have any injuries. It will all come down to, you know, I think Calvert-Lewin is a key player for you guys. Even Richarlison is a key player for you guys. I think when they come back, when Calvert-Lewin comes back, I think definitely the season would turn, because I think more importantly, you're looking for the goal scorers. That's one of the key reasons that you guys are struggling at the moment. That's how I feel, because you're not able to score that many goals. Because of a, you know, proper number 9 that you guys are struggling up top.
Yeah, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a massive miss. You know, leading goal scorer last season, deservedly got the nod for England in the European Championships, although didn't get much game time. So he's been a huge miss. When you're replacing him with Salomon Rondon, with all due respect to him, you're never ever going to get the same kind of output. And obviously, Rondon's managed to bag a goal against Crystal Palace. He's trying to work his way up to some kind of level of fitness. But Dom, hopefully, as I say, will be back for the game. He was fit. He was ready for Boxing Day, but unfortunately, the game was called off. Again, should have been playing Newcastle today. Called off. So you know, he should be there. Should be there Sunday against Brighton. And you know, people have got to remember, though, he's been out for 4 months. So you can't expect too much too soon. He'll certainly be more mobile than what we've been used to over the last few months. But he's not going to come in and start bagging goals, I don't think, consistently straight away. You know, it's we've still got to make sure that those around him, whether it be Demarai Gray, Anthony Gordon, needs to probably start chipping in with a few goals. Obviously, Townsend and Richarlison are currently injured, so we're not going to see them for a few weeks. So other players besides Dominic Calvert-Lewin have got to make sure that they're chipping in with goals, some from midfield, some from the back four as well, to take that pressure off him and let him just ease his way back into things. But he's a huge miss. I think if he was fit for the last 4 months, we would have found ourselves much higher in the table than we currently are. You know, at least mid-table, I'm feeling pretty comfortable as opposed to 15th and looking over our shoulder. Yeah,
definitely. You know, let's just talk a little bit about the ownership as well. I think Farhad Moshiri came in and spent over 500 million in the last 6 years, you know, with 5 different managers, but there's been no strategy and no progress, right? But what they've been struggling to get into the top half of the table. Even I think they had a good season last year. With the number of points that they accumulated, but they still couldn't, you know, get into that top. I think no, but I think they finished 9th or 10th, I guess. But what do you think has gone wrong for Everton in terms of ownership? Because there's been a lot of money spent, a lot of players that were brought in, but it's not working for anything. Like it always felt like, you know, we're going to spend money and everything's going to just get fixed, right? But there's been no strategy to the success here.
No, I mean, obviously from the outside looking in, it's not been a great tenure in terms of, you know, since Farhad Moshiri came in. He's certainly backed things up with you know, supplying managers with money. We spent, as you said, a lot of money on transfers since he's come in. He's certainly, you know, if it wasn't for him, Bramley Moore wouldn't be, you know, it's well underway now. The work is continuing at a great pace, and we're seeing things moving along really well. So again, that'll be his legacy at the club, I'm sure. But no, I think, you know, he's not a football man, is he? It's all well and good you throw money at a club and at a problem, but you've got to have a strategy. We thought by bringing in Marcel Brands as the director of football that we'd start to see the field strategy then link up really, really well with the on-field strategy, and we'll have a system in place about, you know, in terms of transfers and getting players in with the right profile in terms of age and potential. and it's not really happened. Obviously, Marcel Brands has since left the club. I think the issue is there's too many people interfering in certain aspects of the club. I think when it comes to transfers, Farhad Moshiri wants his say. Bill Kenwright wants his say. Marcel Brands obviously was there to oversee that. He wanted his say. Then the manager, whoever it might have been, Carlo Ancelotti, Rafa Benitez, they all want their say. Now, you're going to operate a system with a director of football. You've got to trust that man or woman to do their job. And I don't think he's been given, Marcel Brands was given the free rein to do that. Too many people interfered in that side of things. That muddied the waters, and then we get to where we are, and we've been buying players. We were like 30, 31 on high contracts. They were coming for a payday and rinsing us, and then they're on the way. And it's such a shame because we probably appointed Carlo Ancelotti maybe 3 or 4 years too late. Because if you would have put him in there at the start, maybe it would have worked a bit better. But now I just think, as I say, there's just been too many bodies who want to have their say and who want to get involved with the transfer side of things. So if we're going to, going forward, if we're going to go back to that model, you've got to bring someone in and you've got to be trusted to do their job. The owner has got to take a step back. Bill Kenwright's got to take a step back and just let that one individual in tune with the manager, sort out recruitment and get some kind of system in place where the whole club from academy up to the first team are playing the same kind of football, tactically the same, and then players can then obviously comfortably move between the age groups into the first team and know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I think you're right because like a lot of the clubs who are at the top of their game, I think they have a proper stability. They have a proper person, a football person who can control everything, right from transfers to everything to negotiating contracts and all that stuff, like who to bring in, who to sell. Even me, like I'm a Man United fan. I've been struggling for this kind of like stability for a long time. Like, and I'm kind of now happy, not with the results, but kind of happy with Ralf Rangnick being at the helm now, because now he'll go into that consultancy role, and he'll probably develop the club from top to the bottom. And that's what I think Everton want as well, a footballing mind who can control everything right from top to bottom, so that they can get some kind of stability. And also, you mentioned about the manager. I feel managers right now, they don't really get enough time. It's all about results from day one, and I feel like when you give the manager some time, you see the results. A lot of the clubs in even the Premier League, you see that there's been a lot of results that go in favor of them because they backed their manager, and they can see now the results on the pitch as well. I really don't think that getting in a manager, unless he's been struggling like really big time, but getting in a manager and just sacking him within 4 months, I don't think really that's the way to go about it for any club.
No, of course, every club needs stability. And at times, maybe people would argue we've been too quick to let managers go. I think that no club is guaranteed success. Especially in the modern game more than anything. Obviously your club, Manchester United, they haven't won a league title for many years now, and you've gone from pretty much being guaranteed to being top 2 every single season to now, you may be struggling to get top 4, which is unheard of, and that's football. But we've got no right ourselves to have any kind of success, but we do expect improvement. And because of the lack of identity at the club, and the fact that since David Moyes left the club, we've been through numerous managers, caretaker managers, a couple of directors of football. In that time, it shows you how much of a mess really things are off the pitch, and how much work has got to be done. We've got to get back to basics, start afresh. Let's get a structure in place so we can be successful. Now, as I say, I don't think Benitez will be the manager in the longer term. We might get sort of 2 years, potentially 3 years, and if he does get 3 years, it means then he's done his job and he's been fairly successful. So we've got to hope that is the case. But I think as we move forward and we look towards a new ground, I think things will look different, and a new manager will probably come into play then.
Yeah.
But as I say, the pressure is still there for the manager to get results out of this team, and make sure that obviously our Premier League status is intact as we move through the next sort of 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think that's what you guys expected with Ancelotti, being back. I think he made a couple of good signings. Even I was really excited about like having James, into the Premier League, but obviously that didn't work out. Like, I mean, I can't really say if it worked out or not, because he was basically there for a season and he left for Real Madrid last season. So I can't really sit here and say that it didn't work out, because I think he did finish 9th or 10th, for Everton. Maybe that was one stepping stone that he could, get Everton into maybe the European places next season. But obviously, he's not there anymore. But Mike, what do you think from now? Like, what are your guys's season's expectations right now? Like, based on the results and based on the position that you guys are in.
I think we're still looking to finish around mid-table. I'm not saying, by the way, that's any kind of success. But I think if you gave it to us now, we'd probably bite your hand off for it. We've obviously got the FA Cup coming up in the next week or so. So that's always good to have a bit of a distraction of another competition. But mid-table is probably what we're looking at. A couple of new signings, maybe 2 or 3 signings in the January transfer window. One pretty much is through the door in 𝗕𝗲𝗓𝗕𝗏 from Dynamo Kiev, which will come in as at left back to replace the outgoing 𝗕𝗲𝗓𝗏. Patterson at Rangers, the right back potentially, is another one who's going to be coming in, and maybe a number 10 as well on loan. So I think, a few signings in, a few players will go out, I'm sure, in January, and a fairly stable second half of the season, where we can get back to playing, which I think is really important. Missing 3 games is not ideal, but it's given us time to recover from our COVID situation. And as I say, just have a decent second half of the season, and hopefully let's try and get through to the latter stage of the FA Cup.
Well, great, yeah. I wish you all the best, all the Everton fans, to have a good rest of the season. But thanks again, Mike, for coming onto the channel. Really appreciate your thoughts and presenting your thoughts on Everton. But that's all from our side. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏 Show, and also subscribe to the Ultimate Holy Trinity podcast, wherever you listen to your audio podcast. Great content on Everton over there. Any parting thoughts, Mike?
No. As I say, hopefully we can revisit this conversation when the season's over and see if what I've said does come through. Fingers crossed it does, and we have a decent second part of the season.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Mike, again for coming onto the channel, and I'll see you very, very soon.
Pleasure, no problem.